National Media Conclave. I am very much thankful and obliged for being invited to deliver third memorial lecture of Sunil Behra. Myself and Sunil Behra, we met for the first time in 1985 in Usmania University for a 5-day UGC program. Later on, we completed a 3 weeks refresher course in Usmania University. Then we used to sit together, discuss, eat together, and also debate on many issues. And in those days, Professor Abdul Rahim was coordinator of the program. So that kind, when we had invited him to deliver certain lectures, and also he was a NAC peer team member and used to visit many institutions. So standalone journalism college of MGM University was under process of NAC accreditation, and along with Professor Ram Mohan Pathak, there was Sunil Kant Behra. And that was my last meet. Professor Behra was also working in Behrampur University and Silchar Central University. So his contribution in the field of research was very unique because he was very logical, critical, and also used to edit material very accurately. Now, coming to the subject, the genesis of fake news, a sociological perspective. I am going to divide this whole lecture into 5 categories, 5 parts. The first would be what is the news and what is the Western perspective and Indian perspective of news. What is the historical dynamics behind the fake news? Professor Naik has nicely introduced, and also as a curtain raiser, he has given a very sound introduction of the subject. When I was sitting there, I was in deep thinking. What is the news? In Sanskrit, it is said, Varta nu kautukavati. News should be appreciable. Then also there is a norm that bad news should not be spread. How ethical were our Indians? Na moolam likhyanti yadyapi. If there is no root, if there is no evidence, don't write. That is a basic principle common in research and common in news. You know, when I joined in 1980 as a journalism teacher, 1979 in Kolhapur, Shivaji University, I was selected by 3 professors, Professor B.S. Thakur, Professor Ellen Gokhale, and Professor K. Yipan. They were very critical. Some 40 minutes interview was going on. After my selection and after my joining, I met Professor Gokhale, who wrote a book on India and Japan, educational television, a very nice book. I met Professor Gokhale. Sir, now I'm joining as lecturer. You have selected me. He said that don't quote any book without reading the book. And journalism is a virgin subject. You were an archaeologist earlier. You have worked in Archaeological Survey of India. You worked under S.R. Rao. And that is, you are a researcher. He not only advised me, he gave me a key of the library. He said, how many days you are here? Be here for 2-3 days. I had one casual leave plus Saturday, Sunday, 3 days. He invited one lady, Malegaonkar. He is Mr. So and so. He has come to use our library. Though 2 days there are vacations, but come at 10 o'clock. He will come at 10 o'clock, sit up to 5:30. He will read some books, take notes. Please help him. That started my career in journalism. Now people call me as an encyclopedia, but that solid foundation was with Professor Gokhale, who was a worm in journalism, who was also president of All India Journalism Teacher Association in Banaras. And Professor Gokhale advised me to read some basic books. I read John Hohenberg's Professional Journalism. At the time, there was some fifth or sixth edition. Now it is eighth edition. He was in Columbia University professor. And then I read a book, Basic News by Melvin Mencher. In this book, Melvin Mencher defined news as news is such an important phenomena which is a record of events occurred in the periphery of the media center, and the reporter documents the news based on perfect evidences. Again, the word news derived from north, east, west, south, three directions. The information that comes from all the 10 directions. In India, we call it as Dasha Disha. An elephant is a god, or Ganesha is a god which protects us from all 10 directions. So, this is a kind of the base of news. The Western perspective of news says bad news is the good news. जितना डेथ टोल बढ़ेगा अर्थक्वेक में उतना बड़ा न्यूज. In the morning, I heard that there was a earthquake in Pakistan of 5.5 nature, but death toll was not there. Richter scale was 5.5. Every day, unending wars are going on in the Gaza Strip and also between Ukraine and Russia. I am also an international columnist, column writer, right from 1973, not after retirement. I wrote columns in eminent newspaper of Acharya Atre, Maratha, Bal Thakre, Samna. Even I write in Maharashtra Times. English newspaper, The Perfect Voice. Yesterday only one article came. The Arsenia of Democracy, India and Israel. What I am quoting you that Walter Lippmann, who was a great Democrat, was also a journalist. Lippmann has written on journalism, and Walter Lippmann says, searching the truth is the basic responsibility of journalist. And Lippmann reports that a reporter has to search, dig out, explore the truth up to the deadline. He should not cross the deadline. Deadline is the most sacred rule in the newspaper office. Walter Lippmann says, what is the social responsibility of the reporter? To understand the phenomena of news perfectly and prior to the publication. Many a times in yellow journalism, people say that yesterday's information was based on wrong sources, so we apologize for that. But that is not a healthy journalism. And of same John Hohenberg, who was I am quoting from Columbia University, he has written, what is the news? To catch the rainbow of human interest, that is the news. Unfortunately, in the horde of fake news, in the competition of fake news, we have lost the human interest news. We have lost the human angle of the news. One of my Bhaskar bureau chief is with me. Here is my student. Daily Bhaskar, Shekhar knows better. There's every week on Tuesday, there is a column, Shubha Varta, exactly opposite of the fake news. Because when you are hitting the bad news, then there is your responsibility to publish the good news also. But unfortunately, everywhere Open the newspaper, you will find series of bad news there. Crime page, first front page, last page, sports page, every page. When I wrote a book on news reporting in Marathi language, the title was a little bit Sanskritized, Vritta Lekhan Swarup Ani Siddhi. First line was there. Newspaper has become an essential commodity and information is a basic human need. One of my friend was a professor of political science. I gave him a book, a gift copy. He read the first line and said, I object, kept the book at side. Say, I don't read newspaper. Nothing is happened to me. So newspaper is an essential commodity. I had written that. There are also some people in the society, due to the more appearance of fake news, they don't read in newspaper in the morning. They read newspaper prior to they go to bed because they say it is good for sleep. And some people say if you read a bad news in the early morning, that threatens your health. Psychologically, you are disturbed. And bad now news creates, fake news creates social imbalance. In the world, there are 5 books on fake news. And only, mostly all cited, effectively cited book is Anatomy of Fake News by Nolson Houghton. This book is 250 pages volume, enters numerous aspects, explores many ideas, explores on the weaknesses, vacuums, and puts a strong arguments on that. You ask me any question on any topic of journalism, print, electronic, public relations, mass communication theory, anything. People used to get astonished in Mumbai and Pune how this man says. And when they used to ask some questions on that, I used to give them bundle of answers. Then they used to be very happy. So likewise, there is a very nice book, How to Report and Write News, by Roland Woolsey and Lawrence Campbell. This book has covered some 40-50 areas of reporting. And in this book, there is an article on anatomy of the news. What is the anatomy of news? I can teach journalism in the medical concepts. Metamorphosis of fake news. And the book wrote, headline is the head, face. Then intro is just like the neck. And your chest and other part is the body of the news. Authority, after head, there comes a dateline, name of the place, Bhubaneswar. Then there comes in the bracket authority by our team of reporters, PTI, UNI, this, that agency, that. So that is the identity, authority of the news. Then intro or lead. Then there is a nice bridge para. Our reporter so and so visited so and so, pointed that, and he interviewed some people. They said that so and so. Chota chota paragraph hota hai. And that author wrote, a news contains very short, small, and effective newspaper paragraphs, easy to add and easy to delete. समाचार में ऐसे छोटे छोटे परिच्छेद होते हैं जिनको हम जोड़ भी सकते हैं, तोड़ भी सकते हैं, तोड़ मरोड़ सकते हैं. But unfortunately, in the news, there is a Darwin's theory. You'll wonder what is that? That is the tail of the news. मनुष्य का तो कहीं टेल नहीं होता है, लेकिन किसी जमाने में था. उसको वो ऑथर कहता है, टेल ऑफ द न्यूज is the reporter's style of reporting. Sometimes he does the technique of kite flying. Kite flying means he makes certain imaginations, certain comments, and hooks the kite or rides the kite. or speedily provides the rope to it. And it is said kite flying is not worthy reporting. Or slanting news. What is a slant? A news which is having certain bias, that is known as a slant of the news. And I am now going closer to the subject. Slanting of the news or playing with the news content and its truth, there emerges a fake news. History says in the Roman Empire, during the period of Julius Caesar, there used to be fake news. In India also, during Ramayana and Mahabharata, there was a fake news. When Pandavas were planned to kill and the whole house was burned, but still they saved because they were able to understand that fake news. Entire Gita describes a news. Even our Jnaneshwar, whose Jnaneshwari was translated by father of our Upendra Padi sir, he told me once. In Uriya, Jnaneshwari was translated by Padi's father, Padi's daddy. So Jnaneshwar writes, if you play a rope as a serpent, and huge people are going on there is a rush, people will be threatened like that. Then he said that cheetah robe is not a news. That is not a serpent. But that is a kind of a news, kuvarta, bad news, which can spoil the majesty of the news. He has used Rupaka, parable, and explained what is that fake news there. Again, in Mahabharata also, we will find many instances of fake news are available. But a great Indian exponent of secret information services was Kautilya or R.A. Chanakya, who was a professor of political science in Takshashila University. He wrote Arthashastra and described Artha Mulo Dhanakamaha. Just money, the essence of every work. The fake news has also connection with Artha. You will say how? There's a story goes traditionally. Once Kautilya was in a prime minister office. There was a small hut. He used to go out of the palace and sit in a hut studying something, writing something. In those days, there was no electricity. He used to chant just a panti or a small lamp. 2, 3 foreigners came to meet the Prime Minister of India. They met King and he said that every other information our Prime Minister will give to you, meet him. They wanted certain permission and he was very critical about giving permission to foreigners. So those people went and met him. Then he just shut down the private lamp with his air and then chanted the other lad. Was he, what you have done this? उसने ये बोला कि अब तक मैं जो पढ़ रहा था वो मेरा दिया था और मेरा काम था, अभी जो लगाया है ये सरकारी दिया है. You can understand what is the ethics in the news. A scholar like Kautilya believed that you have to earn the energy for your personal work, your own energy, and for the government work, only for the government energy. Kautilya has given a very, very important anatomy of fake news. And Kautilya was founder of world's best espionage system, secret information system. I quote, there is one of my article in a book, in a felicitation volume, Kautilya's Arthashastra and Management Principles. The how to understand a fake news and how to use a fake news against the enemy. That has been also described by Kautilya. So the genesis of fake news has many dimensions: political, economic, social, cultural, and many, many. Fake news has been described with many words: hoax news, alternative news, wrong news, and it has been defined by that widely cited author Nolson Hoxton as fake news means information disorder. Now, here there is a certain, along with sociology, there is a psychological dimension also. In psychology, they say double disorder. If a person is suppose thinks in two ways, he has a dual disorder personality. Likewise, information disorder. You are using the information not in orderly manner, but in a disorder manner. That becomes the crux of the fake news. Now, the first part of the background is over. The first fake news appeared in the year 1894 in America. Now, what is the relationship between the fake news and yellow journalism, and how the fake news emerged in the truth era? Very interesting. William Randolph Hearst was a journalist prior to Pulitzer, and he was running a paper, San Francisco Review, and many other papers he was connected. His father was a great miner, mining industry. Likewise, many mining giants have entered in newspapers in India also. I will not name them. They were doing mining in Rajasthan. Even today, some miners in Maharashtra also have their. So, what William Randolph Hearst said, it's very, a quotation is very important. That I am not derived from my own. That is a book, Mott. In this hall, Professor Nagaraj knows, because he is basically a scholar of history, and his teacher, Nadinga Krishnamurti, was a great historian of Indian press. He told the full name. Mott, 678 page, he writes, Hearst pointed that as my father was minting money from mines, I want to mint money from newspapers. मेरे पिताश्री जैसे खान उद्योग से सोना चांदी निकालते थे, उस तरह से मैं अखबारों से पैसा निकालना चाहता हूं. Then what he did for that? He first puppeted the fake news there. He started to publish yellow cartoon, yellow strips and news items. News is very small, but you are sensitizing it, emotionalizing it. कभी कभी ऐसे होता है कि इन द इवनिंग न्यूज़पेपर देते लिखते हैं हेमा मालिनी का डेथ हो गया, उसको मारा गया, और नीचे लिखते हैं ऐसी रूमर शहर में फैली है, और वो अखबार बांटने वाला लड़का बोलता है पुकार के अखबार एक एक रुपए को बेचता है, लोगों को दिलचस्प लगता है. सो सेंसिटाइजिंग information with false content, that became the yellow journalism. When I was delivering a lecture in a big university in Maharashtra, the boy asked a foolish question. He said, Sir, is there a education of yellow journalism? I मैंने बहुत ही उसकी मजाक उड़ाई और कहा कि भाई ये तो नहीं हो सकता, ऐसी शिक्षा में कोई नहीं देता. लेकिन ये हिस्ट्री में ऐसा हुआ है कि एक पत्रकार ने ऐसे अखबार निकाल के वो अखबार को बेच के बहुत पैसा कमाया अमेरिका में. So much so that he also competed for the runner. He was a runner for presidential election. Money speaks in America. But he lost. So later on, out of fake news and yellow news, a more mature form was developed by Joseph Pulitzer. 3 volumes are there. Pulitzer Prize story 1, 2, 3, edited by the same person, Professor John Hohenberg. So, अमेरिका में एवरी ईयर जो कोई अखबार में अच्छा इन्वेस्टिगेशन करता है उसको पुलित्जर प्राइज दिया जाता है. Joseph Pulitzer Prize award stories are published in 3 volumes. I read these 3 volumes by the American Center Library. They had sent me to read. ऐसा भी हुआ है कि when a award was given to a journalist, when it was open that was a fake news. You will wonder that is such a system that they withdrawn the award. So Joseph Pulitzer Prize for Investigative Journalism has 3 more ingredients. Number 1, the story should be authentic. Number 2, it has been recognized. Journalist credentials are recognized by the society. Journalist, what degree he possesses, what he is not important, his social recognition is very important. The third one, that the news should be very thoroughly explored by using the investigative techniques. Why I am telling these 3 things? Because when the process of investigation fails or not conducted properly, then the other side is fake news. When it is successful, it is investigation. When it fails, it becomes a fake. That is a very clear anatomic analysis. Now I will give an example of this. When Richard Nixon was president of America, he was a presidential candidate, same party of Donald Trump. So Democrats' office was in the Watergate building. President's men, what they did, they recorded certain events, they studied some files. This appeared a small news item in New York Times that one person was arrested for investigating in the recording certain evidences in the Watergate office. But Jack Anderson and Bob Packwood followed this small item and they explored. They wrote 12 series and a book out of that came. Title is All the President's Men. And when Nixon was rejecting everything, finally, when the stories were true, President one fine evening appeared on television and reported that for the good faith of American democracy, I am resigning from the post of president. That means he accepted. That was not a fake news. That was investigative journalism. Unfortunately, in our education, we never touch the grassroots level information. Now, it's in the process of our language journalism. What we do, we have produced small booklets, and the students of journalism and mass communication do not read English books. They say, our sir is God, he is telling that means that is truth. So, unless and until you touch the source material, then you cannot find out what is truthful journalism. Take example of Lokmanya Bal Gangadhar Tilak. He, along with Home Rule movement, Annie Besant, established at Adyar, a National School of Journalism. Even in the Kesari office, he had a journalism training college. And his colleague, Narsiya Chintaman Kelkar, has written a book, Vrittapatra Mimamsa, that is the first book of journalism in Marathi. His articles were earlier published in Kesari and he compiled it. So, the understanding of Indian news, Tilak used to say, don't copy from Times of India. Otherwise, some Marathi papers were writing, in Pune there was a fire this news we got from Times and we are copying this news. This is a idiot kind of thing. So don't copy the news from any other newspaper. Always publish a original news. That was his consistency. Once people went to Tilak and asked him, Mr. Tilak, बलवंत राव, उनका नाम बलवंत राव था, यू आर नॉट वर्शिप टुडे, आपने पूजा नहीं की है. तो उसने कहा कि टुडे आई वॉज बिजी इन राइटिंग ए हिटिंग आर्टिकल एडिटोरियल and I have completed that editorial. That is my puja. That is my worship. Oh, Vivekananda rightly says, duty is worship. The last man who is in agony, वही मेरा परमेश्वर है, ऐसा विवेकानंद का कहना है. So, understanding fake news is a very vital phenomena. There are, you read my booklet, there are 8 types of fake news. So many typologies there. But if we make a genesis of fake news, very important characters. Fake news is not truthful. Fake news is based on sensitive ideas. Fake news is based on hearsay information or rumor. Fake news is based on with a design motto, design interest of defaming an individual or exposing an institution. In the modern period, people hate each other. People are think viciously against the other institution. So competing industries, competing products, competing information, they use fake news techniques. And unfortunately today, even in advertising, these products are these techniques they are using. Don't use them, use our product. That is a kind of fake advertising. So fake news techniques have also entered in marketing and advertising. One Ivy led Betterly, who was a father of public relations in America, Edward Bernays, Ivy led Betterly, short form is Ivy Lee, was a professor of marketing in the Princeton University of America. He developed a theory, RACE, research. Do research. If you do research, you will not write fake news. Unfortunately, the research angle in journalism, professional journalism, is totally missing. But my student Shekhar is here, who does an investigative story only on the basis of research because he is a PhD. And his editor, Mr. Agarwal, has given him last month a top award for investigative reporting. So, research is basic to control fake news. Journalists must be trained how to conduct research. You are going to slum area, you want to throw light on slum area in Bhubaneswar, poverty in Odisha. So do research. Oh, Lawrence Campbell and Roland Woolsey, fathers of journalism reporting, they say, why people do not write sociological news? Three things. They are not at all interested in social reformation. They are interested only in political kursi or kissa kursi ka isme hi busy hai. Number two, social news are difficult to explore. In my area, during Corona period, there were child marriages. So we did a story on that. My reporter studied. So automatically what happened? They were able to throw light. Then the laws were enforced. They were controlled. Many were cancelled. So research is basic in controlling fake news. Program of action. A. What program of action newspaper is going to undertake to control fake news? What is the ethical dimension of the newspapers? In America, I was 3 times. I delivered in 14 universities of America lectures on journalism. They say in ethics journalism, there are 3 types of ethics are there. Ethics of the own newspaper, suppose Washington Post, Chicago Tribune, New York Times, they have their own ethics. The reporters will not use others' vehicles. 10 principles there. Organization of the city. City Journalists Association has its own ethics. And on the head of all these three, there is a national code of ethics of the Association of Journalists. And in my book, Journalism in 21st Century, I have given a special chapter on ethics, journalism ethics in the Western countries and India also. I have written there, ethics के जो 5 principles है उसमें लिखा है कि when you verify the evidence or when you write something against an individual or an institution, there is your prime responsibility to say get a quote of that side. What is their side? Unfortunately, in the modern fake news, the other side is totally broken. They do not write a single line on the other side, and whatever they write there thoroughly and they defame the person. And later on, if they say apology, they will write in 4 lines. The defamation cost has no answer. C is communication. Communicate in a delicate manner. Don't use harsh words. Don't injure. Don't put the names of girls, women. So that is ethics. C is communication. E is evaluation. You have to evaluate your journalism. Unfortunately, we never evaluate. Just pages are published and they are thrown in the market. No research is there. So what is important is not ombudsman. Times of India, first ombudsman was Justice Bhagwati. Many media houses, they have an ombudsman. But they do not work more seriously. What is important is those complaints should be investigated. Then only fake news can be controlled. RAC is a formula evolved by IV led betterly. But the fifth point I will add in that is culture. Without understanding the culture, decency of the land, you should not write a fake news. Unfortunately, in Indian media, what is the most cheaper to hit is our Indian culture. So when Professor Raghavan, our Professor J.S. Yadav, director of IIMC, was a professor of anthropology. In the beginning, he had MA anthropology. I am MA archaeology. Professor Yadav used to say, see, understanding culture is very important. There is one journal, Culture and Communication, only 3 issues came, 4 issues that was closed. In the first issue, there was an article of Professor Yadav in which he had quotation from Parthasarathi, who was director of Indian Institute of Bangalore. And in that article, he wrote, in India, our culture is rich, but our communication media is very poor. That is not able to absorb the height of culture, height of values. McLuhan used to define medium is the message. We are all in the morning, right from morning to evening, we are discussing about AI. So AI is double-edged weapon. It is benefiting and it is also losing. But fake news is not at all benefiting. It is only killing. Initiative in killing the development of the world. It is said fake news give a setback to the economy of the country by not 1%, 0.05 to 7%. What today India's economy is, suppose 7%, it would have been 7.5 if there are less fake news. Why China has no fake news? Because they have a communist media pattern. If somebody write a fake news, they will punish thoroughly. So on the global level, take the countries, African countries, example of many Asian countries, you will find there fake news is damage their development 0.9%. So fake news destroys development initiatives. Fake news gives a setback to agriculture due to because they will say such and such chemical has come, such and such fertilizer has come. If you use your crop pattern will go down. Automatically, farmer will be disturbed out of that. So, disturbing fake information is a great threat to agriculture, industries, higher education, health, security. About health, one of my students is working fake news in the corona pandemic in the post truth era. What is truth? As I was telling in the afternoon, as we call it as our Kali Yuga. Post truth is derived from postmodernism. Postmodernism, Habermas, a political scientist, developed this concept. And this concept is based on postmodernism means use of media in politics, use of media in every walk of life. That is postmodernism. And this postmodernism came as a truth, and this truth has cheated entire corona pandemic. Many people died due to just panic, because in corona pandemic, first, second, and third wave, peak of the fake news were prepared and spread through that too on social media platforms. Misuse of social media platforms. Social media platforms have become vehicle of fake news. Now, when you're talking about genesis, understand what is the mechanism of fake news. Those who write fake news used to write fake news in the corona pandemic. We studied as many as 65 fake news. And it has been found that the fake news content generators, they are not journalists, they are individuals. They develop an anatomy, echo chamber. The concept, you just understand the concept. What is echo chamber? That means suppose we are 10 people of same group, same ideas, same age, same political conceptions. We will create the chambers and we load fake information. And I say, oh, very good. He says, very good. Okay, emoji batata hai, all low. So everybody nodding. And that fake news spreads like anything. And there is no entry in the fore to counter the news. That is echo chamber. When you create such an information ecosystem that there is no entry to attack in the fort of information, they say what we are telling वही सही है, यही सही वही है. बोले तो they prepare such an atmosphere that is their say and their theory is all the time truthful. And after 6 months, 3 months, when the fake news is exposed, then they will say, "तो हमने तो purpose is served." So that is the genesis of fake news in the truth era. So then what is the remedy on fake news? Three things are very important. Number one, there should be a legal framework. Now, to control the social media in India, ethical regulations are already available, but certain legal provisions are also tabled in the parliament. Number two, ethical dimension should be very clearly stated. Article 19(1)(a) of the Constitution guarantees freedom of expression. But there are all limitations. Unfortunately, media never understands its limitations. They go for media trial, they go for their own bureaucratic, their own dictatorship. And the third is social watchdog. In America, capitalism never becomes vandalist because there are social corporate responsibilities and social systems to control capitalism. In India also, our media houses should develop certain kind of social norms and methods. With these few points, I end my lecture with a Sanskrit say, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirvavati bharatah sambhavami yuge. Whenever there is an inertia of ages, I will come, appear with a Sudarshan Chakra. Now, our DRDO has also prepared one Sudarshan and to protect our public life from the dangerous attack of terrorists. So fake news is also a vehicle of terror in the world. So in order to overcome all the difficulties, we should end the fake news with strong initiative and strong actions. With these few words, I thank you very much and I pay again my humble tribute to my friend Sunil Kant Behra of Behrampur University and Assam Silchar University. Thank you very much for patient listening. Thank you all. Thank you very much. कबीर का एक दोहा देता हूं और मेरा भाषण खत्म करता हूं. अटल जी को बहुत भाषण में दोहे देना या शेर देना, कभी कभी तो तुकारामाचे अभंग भी वो गाते थे. बुडता है जन न देखे डोळा कसा येई कळवळा. दॅट मीन्स आय एम व्हेरी मच डिफिकल्ट दॅट दीज पीपल आर डूप्ड आउट. दे आर द वर्ल्ड इज सिंकिंग इन ट्रेजेडीज. दैट सेज तुकाराम. सो बड़ा हुआ तो क्या हुआ, जैसा पेड़ खजूर पंछी को छाव नहीं फला लागे अति दूर. जय हिंद, जय असम, जय त्रिपुरा, जय अपना, जय जगन्नाथ. थैंक यू वेरी मच.
Thank you, sir. We are not going for any question.
ठीक रहा.
Topic थिला था. No, sir. Thank you very much for this wonderful session. At the same time, for your tribute to Professor Sunil Kant Behra in his third memorial lecture. Uh, Thank you all for patience hearing. And at the same time, I bow my head before all the gurus present over here. And I express my deepest gratitude to Professor B.L. Dharudkar sir for his wonderful and most effective memorial lecture on genesis of fake news, a sociological perspective. And not only sociological perspective, he has touched two different dimensions and different perspective of fake news and its impact and implications. Thank you all once again on behalf of Ninth National Media Conclave 2025. Thank you very much. Jai Jagannath.
Friends, so we'll take 5 minutes break now, and after 5 minutes, we'll have the cultural program. And I request Professor Fakirimon Naik to coordinate and moderate the cultural program of this evening. Thank you. Just wait for 5 minutes. Shortly, we'll start the cultural program. In between, those are interested, you can have tea outside in the cafeteria. You can go to cafeteria and have your tea and some snacks. Enjoy. Shortly.
हेलो हेलो ଏବେ ଦେଖିଲେ हेलो हेलो ଏବେ ମୁଁ ଆଖି ଖୋଲିଥାଏ तो बढ़ी दे दुख ମୁଁ ପୁଣି ଜାଗା ଜଗାରେ ଜଗାରେ ଯୋଗା ଛିଡ଼ି ଯାଏ ମୋ ପାଦ ଭାବ୍ୟ ତୁଳସୀଟେ କରିଦେରେ ମତେ ଝୁଲୁଥିବି ତୋ ଗଳାରେ ଜଗାରେ ଓ ଜଗାରେ ତୋ ହସ ଟିକେ ଦେଖିବାକୁ ମୋ ମନ ଝୁରେ ଜଗାରେ ଜଗାରେ କି ଯାଦୁ ଅଛି କାହାର ଜଗା ଆଖିରେ ତୋ ପଥ ଦୌଡ଼ି ପାରେ ନାହିଁ ଛୁଇଁ ଏମିତି ଅଭାଗା ମୁଝେ ଏ ପାପି ଆଖିକୁ ପାପ ହାରିବାକୁ ନନ୍ଦୀ ଘୋଷ ଖାଲି ଖୋଜେ ମିଛ 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 ଦୁନିଆଟା ମିଛ ତୁ ହିଁ ମୋର মেঘ সাজি তবে দিঘে মতে পরা তোহরে ডান্ডে তোর চকা তলে প্রাণ মজাও শান্তি রে জগারে ଜଗାରେ ତୁ ହସ ଟିକେ ଦେଖିବାକୁ ମୋ ମନ ଝୁରେ ଜଗା Were you born between 1980 to 2000? Axis Max Life is percent genuine claims paid with 3 hours payment guarantee. No waitings and no worries. What are you waiting for? Click on the link below to calculate your premium. ଆଖିର ଦରଜ ବୁଝୁ ସେଥିପାଇଁ ତୁ ଦରଦି ବନ୍ଧୁ ସବୁ ଦେଇଛୁ ଭଲରେ ଅଛି କରୁଣା ତୋର ମାନ ସିନ୍ଧୁ रे मृत्यु धारे खाली रे शांति पाए देखी तो जगन्नाथ जगन्नाथ रे जन्म जगन्नाथ नारायणाय नमो नमः वासुदेवाय नमो नमः नारायणाय नमो नमः प्रभु हर पल हर दिशा तुम बस
जय जय जगन्नाथ जय जय जगन्नाथ जय जय जगन्नाथ जय जय जगन्नाथ भगवान नामରେ ଦୁନିଆ ଆରମ୍ଭ ହୁଏ ଯେଉଁଠାରେ ଭକ୍ତି ରହିଥାଏ ଯେଉଁଠି ଶାନ୍ତିର ପ୍ରେମର ବର୍ଷା ହୁଏ ନିରାଚୟ ନାଚ ସୃଷ୍ଟିର ସ୍ଥିତିକାରିକ जय श्री जगन्नाथ जय श्री जगन्नाथ जय श्री जगन्नाथ शगल में उड़ता जाऊं खुद को रोक ना पाऊं थाम लो जरा
हेलो बंदे उत्कल जननी जय जगन्नाथ शुभ संध्या आपण मानकु एई मनज्ञ परिवेश भितरे सांध्यकालीन अधिवेशनर एई सुंदर प्रयास भितरे आमे आपण मानकु स्वागत करूछु सुधी सज्जन ସକାଳର ପ୍ରଭାତଠୁ ଏଯାବତ ପର୍ଯ୍ୟନ୍ତ ଆପଣ ଏ ପରିସର ଭିତରେ ଯେଉଁ ଆନନ୍ଦର ରୋମନ୍ଥନ ଏବଂ ଆନନ୍ଦର ଉଲ୍ଲାସ ସହିତ ବହୁବିଧ ଆଲୋଚନାରେ ସାମିଲ ହୋଇଥିଲେ। ପରନ୍ତୁ ଆଜିର ଏ କାର୍ଯ୍ୟକ୍ରମ ଭିତରେ ସାନ୍ଧ୍ୟକାଳୀନ ଅଧିବେଶନରେ ଆପଣମାନଙ୍କ ଭିତରେ ଏକ ସାଂସ୍କୃତିକ ଚିନ୍ତାଧାରାକୁ ଉଜ୍ଜୀବିତ କରିବା ପାଇଁ ଏବଂ ମନୋରଞ୍ଜନର ଏକ ଖୋରାକ ଯୋଗାଇବା ପାଇଁ ଆମେ ଆପଣମାନଙ୍କୁ ସ୍ୱାଗତ କରୁଛୁ। ଏ ଆସରକୁ ଗୋଟେ କରତାଳି ଦିଅନ୍ତୁ। ଯେତେକ ସଂଖ୍ୟାର ଉପସ୍ଥିତ ଅଛନ୍ତି, ଓଡ଼ିଆ ମାଟି, ଓଡ଼ିଶାର ସଂସ୍କୃତି, ଓଡ଼ିଶାର ପାଣି ପବନ ଏ ଜାତି ପାଇଁ ଅମୂଲ୍ୟ ଅବଦାନ। ଘନ ଘନ ବନଭୂମି ରାଜ ତରଙ୍ଗେ, ନୀଳ ଭୂଧର ମାଳା ସାଜେ ତରଙ୍ଗେ, କଳକଳ ମୁଖରିତ ଚାରୁ ବିହଙ୍ଗେ, ଜନନୀ 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 ବନ୍ଦେ ଉତ୍କଳ ଜନନୀ। ଏଠି ବହି ଯାଇଛି ଦୟା ନଦୀ, ଶାନ୍ତିର ବାର୍ତ୍ତା ଦେଇ। ଏ ମାଟିର ପାଦକୁ ଛୁଉଁ ଛୁଉଁ ଚୈତନ୍ୟ ଉତ୍କଳୀୟ ପରମ୍ପରାରେ ଉଦ୍ବୁଦ୍ଧ ହେଲେ, ଚଣ୍ଡାଶୋକ ଧର୍ମାଶୋକରେ ରୂପାନ୍ତରିତ ହେଲେ। ଉତ୍କଳର ଇଷ୍ଟ ଦେବତା ମହାପ୍ରଭୁ ଜଗନ୍ନାଥ ଆଶ୍ଲେଷର ବରଦ ମୁଦ୍ରାରେ ଚତୁର୍ବାହୁ ଧରି ବିରାଜମାନ କରିଛନ୍ତି ରତ୍ନ ମଣ୍ଡପରେ। ଏ ଜାତିର ଦୁଃଖରେ ସୁଖରେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଯାହା କିଛି ହୁଏ, ମହାପ୍ରଭୁଙ୍କର ପଦାର ବିନ୍ଦରେ ସମର୍ପଣ କରିଦେଲେ ସମସ୍ତ ଦୁଃଖ ଆଉ ସୁଖ କଟିଯାଏ। ବନ୍ଧୁଗଣ, ଏ ଜାତିର ସଂସ୍କୃତି, ଉତ୍କଳୀୟ ସଂସ୍କୃତି, ଓଡ଼ିଶାର ସଂସ୍କୃତି, ଓଡ଼ିଶାର ଧର୍ମ ପରମ୍ପରା, ଜଗନ୍ନାଥ ଧର୍ମ ପରମ୍ପରା ଏବଂ ଜଗନ୍ନାଥଙ୍କର ଧର୍ମ ପରମ୍ପରା ସଂସ୍କୃତି ଓଡ଼ିଶୀ ନୃତ୍ୟ ଭାବରେ ଆପଣମାନେ ସମସ୍ତେ ଜାଣିଛନ୍ତି। ଆଜି ପ୍ରଥମ ସନ୍ଧ୍ୟାର ଏହି ସାନ୍ଧ୍ୟକାଳୀନ ଅଧିବେଶନରେ ସେହି ଉତ୍କଳୀୟ ପରମ୍ପରାକୁ ଆଖି ଆଗରେ ରଖି ଉତ୍କଳୀୟ ସଂସ୍କୃତିର ବାର୍ତ୍ତାକୁ ଆମେ ନିବେଦନ ପୂର୍ବକ ଆଜିର ପ୍ରଥମ ପ୍ରସ୍ତୁତିରେ ଭେଟି ଦଉଛୁ। ସିମୁଲ ଡ୍ୟାନ୍ସ ଏକାଡେମୀ ଦ୍ୱାରା ଅନନ୍ତ କେଶରୀ କାନୁନଗୋ ଏବଂ ସାଥୀ ଟିମ୍ ଦ୍ୱାରା ପ୍ରସ୍ତୁତିରେ ରହିଛି ଓଡ଼ିଶୀ ନୃତ୍ୟ। ଓଡ଼ିଶୀ ନୃତ୍ୟର ପ୍ରଥମ ପ୍ରସ୍ତୁତିରେ ରହିଛି ଦୁର୍ଗା ତାଣ୍ଡବ। ଦେବୀ ମହିମାର ଅନେକ କଥା ଶାସ୍ତ୍ରରେ ବର୍ଣ୍ଣିତ ଅଛି। ଯେତେବେଳେ ଅଧର୍ମ ବଢ଼ିଯାଏ, ଅଧର୍ମକୁ ନାଶ କରି ଧର୍ମ ସଂସ୍ଥାପନା କରିବା ପାଇଁ ମା ଦୁର୍ଗେ ଦୁର୍ଗତି ନାଶିନୀ ଅବତରଣ କରନ୍ତି ଧରିତ୍ରୀ ବକ୍ଷରେ। एकैव शक्ति परमेश्वरस्य वर्णा चतुर्धा विनियोग काले, भोगे भवानी पुरुषेषु विष्णु कोपेषु काली समरेषु दुर्गा। केतेबेले चंडमुंडକୁ विनाश କରିବା ପାଇଁ ଆସିଛନ୍ତି, ମହିଷାସୁରକୁ ନିଧନ କରିବା ପାଇଁ ଆସିଛନ୍ତି ଏବଂ କେତେବେଳେ ରକ୍ତବୀର୍ଯ୍ୟକୁ ନିଧନ କରି ଶାନ୍ତି ସନ୍ତାପନ କରିବା ପାଇଁ ଧରିତ୍ରୀକୁ ଆସିଛନ୍ତି। ସେହି ମାତୃଶକ୍ତିର ଆରାଧନା ହିଁ ଏ ଜାତିର ଅମୋଘ ଆରାଧନା। କରତାଳି ଦେଇ ପ୍ରଥମ ପ୍ରସ୍ତୁତିରେ ସ୍ୱାଗତ କରିବୁ ଦୁର୍ଗା ତାଣ୍ଡବ। ଏକ ଭବ୍ୟ କରତାଳି ଦିଅନ୍ତୁ। ଆମେ ସିମୁଲ ଡ୍ୟାନ୍ସ ଏକାଡେମୀର ପ୍ରଥମ ଅର୍ଘ୍ୟ ଦୁର୍ଗା ତାଣ୍ଡବକୁ ସ୍ୱାଗତ କରୁଛୁ ଆଜିକାର ପ୍ରଥମ ନିବେଦନରେ। ବନ୍ଦେ ଉତ୍କଳ ଜନନୀ।
सिंहस्यापति दत्तवा Uttaka Adgasura Dadhati Daksha Kara Atta Vasini Dushta Vinasini Kartavya Vasini Gopini Vasini Dushta Vinasini Kartavya Jalo Mantharagami Ganarate Jaya Jaya Durgati Tarini Bhavini Jaya Jaya Durgati Tarini Bhavini Malini Malini Dalini Malini Malini
পরধারিণী কঞ্চনে পারিণী বিন্ধ বিলাসিনী বাজগতে শাস্ত্র বিচারি বাজ বিচারি মন্ত্র চারিণী যোগরতে খবর ধারি বাক্যরতে জয়া জয়া দুর্গাতে তারিণী ভাবিনী মালিনী পারিণী তারিণী হে মালিনী পারিণী గిలగిలనాదిని డమదం పాదిని ఢమఢమకే మొట్టమొదటి ఘట ఘట దేహిని ఢమద పహాసిని ఢమఢమకే శివ శివ సేతిని గిలిగిలనాదిని ఢమఢమ పాదిని ఢమఢమకే మొట్టమొదటి లోచని ఘట ఘట దేహిని ఢమద పహాసిని ఢమఢమకే గద గద లాహిని ధన ధనగా জয়া জয়া দুর্গা তারিণী ভাবিনী মানিনী পালিনী দানিনী হে মানিনী পালিনী দানিনী হে मानिनी पारिणी दानिनी है मानिनी दानिनी है मानिनी पारिणी दानिनी है मानिनी पारिणी दानिनी है
ପ୍ରଥମ ପ୍ରସ୍ତୁତିରେ ଦେବୀ ଦୁର୍ଗାଙ୍କର ଏକ ସୁନ୍ଦର ନୃତ୍ୟକୁ ଆପଣମାନଙ୍କ ନିକଟରେ ଅର୍ପଣ ରଖିଥିଲେ। ଆମେ ଅନେକ ଧନ୍ୟବାଦ ଅର୍ପଣ କରୁଛୁ ସିମୁଲ ଡ୍ୟାନ୍ସ ଏକାଡେମୀର ଶିଳ୍ପୀ କୁଳଙ୍କୁ, ଯେଉଁମାନଙ୍କର ପ୍ରଥମ ପ୍ରସ୍ତୁତିରେ ଥିଲା ଦେବୀ ଦୁର୍ଗାଙ୍କର ମାନିନୀ ପାଳିନୀ ଦାନିନୀ ହେ। ସଜନ ପରେ ମଞ୍ଚକୁ ସ୍ୱାଗତ କରିବୁ ଏକ ସମ୍ବଲପୁରୀ ନୃତ୍ୟ, ଯେଉଁ ସମ୍ବଲପୁରୀ ନୃତ୍ୟ ଆପଣମାନଙ୍କର ଏକ ଭାବନାର ଆଉ ଏକ ସୁନ୍ଦର ଭାବକୁ ପ୍ରକାଶ କରିବ। ଆପଣମାନେ ଜାଣି ଖୁସି ହେବେ ଓଡ଼ିଶାର ପୂର୍ବ ଓଡ଼ିଶା ଏବଂ ପଶ୍ଚିମ ଓଡ଼ିଶା, ଏ ଦୁଇ ଓଡ଼ିଶା ଭିତରେ ପଶ୍ଚିମ ଓଡ଼ିଶା ଏକ ସ୍ୱତନ୍ତ୍ର ସ୍ଥାନ ହାସଲ କରିଛନ୍ତି। ପଶ୍ଚିମ ଓଡ଼ିଶାର ବହୁବିଧ ନୃତ୍ୟ जहा लोकनृत्य भावरे परिचित संबलपुरी नृत्य नृत्यांगना अनुष्ठान आपण मान निकटरे निवेदन रखिबे डाल खाई नृत्य करताली दे स्वागत करिबो डाल खाई नृत्य को।